I've made a very long tape on it, which should be in our library. Nevertheless, what is the significance? What is the significance of chanting? The chant is very scientifically based. The 108 beads which makes a round is just for time duration. It has nothing to do with the old ancient Hindu beliefs that there are 108 names for God. We are not interested in that. We are interested in the time duration. Fine. Now, when we chant, after about 3 rounds, when we really get into it with some practice, you'll find that the chant just goes on automatically. In other words, you will start observing yourself chanting. That means the highest self within you, or the subtler levels of the mind, will be observing the conscious mind chanting, and the chanting just becomes automatic and spontaneous. Now, the other thing chanting does, when it's done in a group especially, is to heighten the vibrations of the atmosphere. The words in the chant have no particular meaning. It is based on sounds. There are a lot of bija, which means seed sounds, in the chant, and by using those in a systematic manner, the vibrations of the room are heightened. Now, as we start chanting, and when it starts going on automatically, and our higher self starts observing it, what happens is this, that you learn to separate the absolute from the relative. So, as we've always said, that when any thoughts or any situation crops up, we must learn to objectify that. In other words, to be able to watch it as if it is happening on a screen. Now, this practice teaches us to do that. So, it lessens a lot of problems and troubles and worries that we go through in daily life. Because through this, we learn to objectify, to be able to separate the absolute from the relative. So, the big I is activated, and the small I is uplifted to higher vibrations. Now, apart from that, the chant, the duration of the chant is so scientifically worked out that it is the exact duration of a man's thought. Now, you might say you think for a thought for half an hour. It is not so. There is always a gap. As I gave as an analogy the other day, that it is like a film, a cinema film. We think it is continuous on the screen, but when you look at the film, you will see it is made up of frames, all separate frames, and run in the machine in such a way with its mechanism that it seems continuous. So, the duration of one chant, Aim Rim Krim Chamundaye Vicheche, Aim Rim Krim Chamundaye Vicheche, between the two, there is the gap, and that is just as far as the human mind can go in its thought. So, in the 108 of a round, you'd have 107 gaps. And that is exactly the duration of a man's mind, man's thinking strength. That's the other advantage. Another advantage is this, that when you chant, Aim Rim Krim Chamundaye Vicheche, you'd find that you're not inhaling. You'd find that you are exhaling. Now, it is pranayama. Because if your exhalation is complete, the inhalation is automatic because you can't keep the lungs empty. So it detoxifies your body. It throws off the toxins. You see how beautiful it is, all the various advantages it has. While you're chanting, you'll also find that thoughts might come into the mind, but the thoughts don't assume any importance. The mind is thinking, it will think, but it does not stick in the mind. Therefore, those thoughts that come up do not germinate. So, by chanting, we have physiological, psychological, and spiritual benefits. So to chant is very important, and especially done in a group. Now this is not only for us, but you'll find many religions doing it. The Catholic religions do their chants, the Buddhists do their chants, Hindus do their chants, the Islamic religion, they do their chants. Now, when we chant, there should be some harmony, and it is always important to follow the leader of the chant. It's no sense the leader going slow and the others going fast and things like that. The minimum should be about 5 rounds, but it's always best to have 7 to 9 rounds, because it takes you about 3 rounds to really get into it. That's it. Fine. So I will do the chant this morning. In between, I'll stop. The reason would be, and you carry on, the reason would be to listen to you if you are doing it properly. So don't mind the little gaps when I do stop. Let me tell you a little story. I was invited to stay at home. And the room given to me was upstairs. So early in the morning, I heard the sound of the chant wafting through. And I said, how beautiful this is. The chant so early in the morning. So when I went down for breakfast, I told the lady of the house, I was very, very impressed with the way you're starting your day off with a chant. So this lady tells me, Guruji, I've got a confession to make. I say, what is it? She says, 1 round is for a soft-boiled egg and 3 rounds for a hard-boiled one. Now, you'll find when you chant, you start slow, then you go fast, then you go slow again. It's sort of in undulating waves, in the same way your mind works. Good. Shall we start? You can record this for future. 1 round for soft boil and 3 rounds for hard boil. You can have your eyes open, or you can close your eyes. It all depends upon you. It's not important there. Fine. Aim Rim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. 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 ऐं ह्रीं क्रीं चामुण्डाय विचेचे, 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 ऐं ह्रीं क्रीं चामुण्डाय विचेचे. Round 2. ऐं ह्रीं क्रीं चामुण्डाय विचेचे, 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 ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विचेचे 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 ऐं ह्रीं